When I'm not feeling survivor's guilt every time a car lets me in and I make it through the stoplight and he doesn't, I like to answer questions that I get on YouTube, so let's get to it. I like the sound of the B7 resolving to the C. Speaking of 7 chords, I was wondering what would be a more tense 7 chord to go back to the tonic, the dominant 7 or the 7 sharp 9. So let's get to what this question is really about. The dominant 7 sharp 9 chord, also known as the Jimi Hendrix chord. Now, I actually haven't done a video on the Hendrix chord. I don't think. I may have and just forgotten about it, but I do kind of want to talk about it. So if you don't know what that is, let's look at like your middle finger on the 7th fret of the A string, your pointer finger on the 6th fret of the D string, your ring finger on the 7th fret of the G string, and your pinky on the 8th fret of the B string. Known as the Hendrix chord, okay? This is an E, dominant 7, sharp 9, most famously. Okay, so I want to talk about how that resolves somewhere, okay? Because when it comes to resolution, like the spirit of this question is like, all right, what's the best way to resolve to like the tonic or the 1 chord, okay? If you don't know what that means, I'll link you to another video on like dominant 7 chords versus like major 7 chords, stuff like that. But basically, where this chord is leading you is very interesting because no one key, diatonically speaking, has this chord in it, a 7 sharp 9 chord. So if you think of this as a replacement for the 5th degree in a key where like a dominant 7 chord would normally go, I think you almost kind of like miss the point on the spirit of this chord and kind of like the way that Hendrix liked to use it. And again, Hendrix is, you know, the reason that I play guitar in general, even if you don't always hear it from my playing. It's definitely the guy that inspired me to play the most. And so if we have an E dominant 7 chord, it usually resolves home to the 1 chord, which would be A, right? So real quick, so just a E regular E7, A, has a different kind of a feel than a, now, you know, it does resolve, but I think, you know, if we look at Purple Haze as an example, we have this E7 sharp 9, G major, A major, right? So where does that resolve to? It resolves back to that Hendrix chord, right? And that's kind of like the beauty of Hendrix. And then where would you solo over that? Well, you'd solo in E minor pentatonic, whatever, because it's a very bluesy thing, right? Like a minor pentatonic over a dominant 7 chord. So in this case, I was thinking about it, and it's like, well, what key is Purple Haze even in? You know, it's kind of up for debate. It's a few different keys. You could say it's just in the key of E, I suppose, a bunch of accidentals. But what I see when I see the rest of that chord progression is a G to an A major, and that always makes you think of the 4 and the 5 chord, okay? So I would be like, all right, well, this is in the key of D, right? But that doesn't really resolve there, especially once you kind of set it up with that Hendrixy tension. So what I really think some of the genius of Jimi Hendrix is, and where I really like to kind of like see this chord and where my ear leads it to, is actually putting on the 2nd degree of any key, all right? So that would be like if we are in the key of D, again, I'm not saying that Purple Haze is in the key of D, but like if we're in the key of D, the 2nd chord is usually E minor, right? You can really, that's not so far away from an E7 sharp 9. Just grabbing that major 3rd in there, which taking the 2 chord and making it major is something that happens a lot anyways. So just as an example of like maybe some ways you might want to use this compositionally to tribute the man Hendrix, is let's do this in the key of C, right? Where G would be the dominant 7 chord, C major, G7, C. Let's take the 2 chord, which is D minor, and make that the Hendrix chord in this key, okay? So if we're just kind of like jamming around in something in the key of C, Sean style, C major 7, A minor 7, F, that's putting that 2 chord in that dominant 7 thing, even if you kind of like use different F chords and stuff like that. And to me, that's where that resolve kind of comes in a way that I kind of think of in Hendrixian terms, even though that sounds nothing like Hendrix, but the spirit of that is kind of like the resolution that I feel like my ear more naturally goes to, is putting that 7 sharp 9 chord on the 2 chord, because again, it doesn't exist in any one key. And also when I think of that, it just seems to sound better than where the 5 chord would be, which would be G, because you could use the same thing, see? minor 7, F. I feel like it doesn't work as well on the 5 chord, which maybe you would think because it is a dominant 7 chord. Just my opinion, whatever, just kind of like talking about different chord substitutions and stuff. But to me, Hendrix is all about putting it on the 2 chord and then really basing the tonal center around where this is. And then just kind of going minor pentatonic from that root note. Hope that made sense. I'm so excited to go to jail tomorrow. I can't wait to get out in 3 months and binge watch all your videos. I'll be happy to have you back. It's pronounced arpeggio, you ignorant swine. How have I been pronouncing arpeggio? Is it like a soft arpeggio? Arpeggio? I don't even, now I'm like doubting how I even normally say it. Really, a real musician and or piano player can sniff out the BS in playing piano. It smells from here to high heaven. This video is really great to prove a point. Improvisation is not the same as fake BS piano, as in this video. Soon enough, a real musician or piano player will notice immediately the same keys playing, C, E, G, and plays only that. Go figure. Just for fake, go play Mary Had a Little Lamb. There is the elitist piano comment of the week, proving out that even a master piano player can do us all the crazy privilege of properly assessing another piano player's skill level. Very cool video, thank you. So how does the chord, a minor third apart from the major 1-4-5, fit in the diatonic chords of the key? What kind of substitution is this? Keeping in the spirit of just talking about my favorite artists of all time and chord substitutions that don't really make a lot of sense, this is from the Elliott Smith video, which if you're an Elliott Smith fan, I think this is probably one of the videos I am most proud of, which I'll also link you in the description below. Again, aside from Hendrix, Elliott Smith, those are like the 2 guys that I do what I do for a living, which is really awesome. And one of like the, I don't know, revelations I had about Elliott Smith's playing, that the way he composes a lot of stuff is he'll move major chords a minor third apart, right? So what that is, if he's doing something in G, he'll take another major chord and move it a minor third apart, so 3 frets up. I'll link you to that video because it goes kind of in depth with a lot of different examples of how a lot of his compositions have that move in it, because it does not fit diatonically, and it's all about just keeping chord progression super interesting. And not to say that you can't make an interesting chord progression diatonically, but you're really kind of handcuffed in a lot of ways. So understanding what chords go into a certain key, as far as like, you know, major being 1-4-5, minor being 2-3-6, and diminished being 7, I think is super, super important fundamentally for musicians to understand. But as it comes to creatively making a song composition, especially just like a solo acoustic guitar or something like that, I really think just experimenting, trying to find your sound, what you like, is something that you need to be doing. And I think that's something that Jimmy did when he really took ownership of the 7♯9 chord and built songs around that. I think it's something that Elliott Smith masterfully did when he took kind of like traditional folk arrangements and then started kind of experimenting by moving them in different ways in almost like a jazzy kind of context. Really is responsible for what makes those guys such signature, iconic players. So again, I'll link you to that video too, because I think it's very interesting if you're at all an Elliott Smith fan. Even if you're not, it may be something that you could be interested in, just kind of like compositionally. So for listening homework this week, I'm going to throw you to one of the newer Vampire Weekend songs. Harmony Hall has a very cool guitar part, which I might do a riff deconstruction on. Coming up pretty soon. Huge Vampire Weekend fan. It's been a long time. You know, we give Tool a lot of crap for not releasing new music, and Vampire Weekend has somehow gotten a pass. Like I said, love the previous Vampire Weekend album, which to me, there's no debate that that is their best album. And I'm excited about the new stuff coming out, so check that out. And if you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comment section, Instagram, Twitter, the website. I'll talk to y'all soon. Thanks a lot.